Welcome everyone. Today's presentation focuses on a critical regulatory requirements for medical devices, that is, Unique Device Identification or UDI. We will compare how India and the European Union regulates UDI, understand implementation timelines, challenges, and practical implications for manufacturers. This is especially important for companies exporting devices or aiming for global compliance. Agenda. The main agenda of this presentation includes what is UDI, objective of UDI systems, overview of Indian and EU MDR 2017 requirements, key components involved in the UDI, UDI issuing agencies, carriers, how we are submitting the data on the databases, similarities and differences, implementation timelines and future outlook, and conclusion. Now first comes what is UDI. UDI stands for Unique Device Identification, a globally recognized system for identifying and tracing medical devices. It consists of two parts: a device identifier DI, which is static and identifies the specific model of the device, and a production identifier or product identifier PI, which is dynamic and contains production related details like lot number, manufacturing date, and expiry. This system supports international traceability and aligns with IMDRF, which is International Medical Device Regulator Forum guidance. It ensures its connectivity across the regions like US, EU, and India. Let me tell you one example. For example, a blood pressure monitor may have the DI of 00855361005016, and its PI will be like as mentioned in this lot number B35, manufacturing date, and expiry this. Think of UDI as the Aadhaar for devices. It helps identify each unit uniquely across its life cycle. Now, what are the objectives of UDI system? The primary goal of UDI system is to ensure transparency and safety throughout the life cycle of the device. Let me break down each objective briefly. Facilitate traceability. UDI enables tracking devices from production to the point of use. Supports recall activities. If a device is discovered, only affected batches are recalled. Improve market surveillance. Post-market trends and incidents can be easily tracked. Enhance patient safety by detecting expired device which can be filtered out. Reduce medical errors. Clinical experts can scan the barcodes to verify correct devices. Integration with the hospital information system. UDI codes can be linked to the EHRs and billing systems. Now comes the UDI requirements for Indian MDR 2017. In India, UDI is governed under Chapter 4, Rules 46 and 47 and Schedule 6 of Medical Device Rules 2017. UDI has been made mandatory starting from 2023 for Class C and D devices under GSR rule. Lower risk classes like Class A and B devices will be included in the later phase. Some key components include like DI, which is Global Unique Product Code. India uses GTIN under GS1 system. PI, which includes the batch number, lot number, serial number, expiry, and manufacturing date. UDI carrier. These can be printed on the device, labels, or packaging. For example, like barcode or 2D matrix. Under CDSO UDI portal, which is intended for submission of UDI data. Currently, it is under development. So, Indian manufacturers manage UDI manually or offline. India does not use basic UDI-DI. This is a major difference from the EU MDR. Just for an example, a Class D implantable cardiac stent must carry a GS1 barcode on its sterile package that shows the GTIN, batch number, and expiry. But this data is not yet uploaded to a live Indian UDI database due to some developmental limitations. Currently, manufacturers like us facing challenges like no central verification portal, unlike UDAMED, need for barcode software and labeling redesign, regulatory in timelines for the lower classes devices, just in case of lower classes. Now let's look at the EU MDR perspective. UDI is governed under Articles 27, 28 and 29 and Annexure 6 of EU MDR 2027. Unlike India, UDI is mandatory for all the classes of the device, for example Class 1, Class 2A, 2B, Class 3 in the EU. Three critical identifiers are used, which are like basic UDI-DI. It identifies the group or group family of the product. It is used to register the device in UDAMED and linked to the technical documentation, for example in PMS plans and certificates. UDI-DI. UDI-DI is just like the JTIN. UDI-PI involves the batch number, serial number and manufacturing and expiry dates. The UDI carrier must be affixed to the device label, packaging and sometimes directly on the reusable devices, for examples like surgical scissors. Data is then submitted to the UDAMED, which is centralized and searchable European database. Issuing agencies approved under EU MDR are like GS1, HIBCC, ICC, BBA. For example, like a Class 2A infusion pump must have its basic UDI-DI registered in the UDAMED before CE certification and its UDI-DI or UDI-PI printed on its packaging, scanned into the hospital software and then linked to the PMS reports. The UDI system is more developed and also enables UDI-DI linkages to the certificates and notified body assessments, ensuring traceability at every life cycle stage. Now, components of UDI. To understand UDI implementation, we must understand its two fundamental components, that is UDI-DI and UDI-PI. UDI-DI is the fixed part of the UDI. It identifies the model version of the devices. Think of it like a permanent model number for our regulatory purposes. For example, like thermometer model Thermo 2000 would always be the same DI. Then product identifier UDI-PI. This is the variable part of the UDI. It includes the batch number, lot number, manufacturing date, expiry and serial number for some devices. Together these two parts ensure the unique identification down to a single unit. The distinction between the DI and PI is crucial for correct data entry and the label design, as you can see in the image. UDI carrier requirements. The UDI carrier is a physical representation of the UDI on the device, its labels or its packaging. There are several accepted carrier formats such as linear barcode. For example, in case of on the device we placed code 128, 2D barcode, example GS1 data matrix, RFID that is used in case of reusable and implantable devices. In case of regulatory expectations, UDI must appear on the label, outer package and device if reusable in case of EU MDR. But in case of Indian MDR, it is mandated to placed on label, device or pack, but it is less prescriptive than the EU. For example, like a reusable surgical clamp must have the UDI permanently attached or laser marked directly on the device, but a catheter pack must show the barcode on both primary and secondary packaging. The carrier must remain readable throughout the device shelf life and storage conditions. Now the database submission. After UDI creation and labeling, data must be submitted to a central regulatory database. In the EU, submission is done via EUDAMED, European Database on Medical Devices, device which can't be placed on the market unless the basic UDI-DI and UDI-PI are registered, or the stakeholders including notifying bodies and competent authorities access this data. But in India, it is under development. It is not applicable on the CDSU UDI portal. Currently, many manufacturers maintain UDI manually or offline. So the difference is EUDAMED is fully operational system with modules for vigilance, clinical trials and UDI. But in case of CDSU, it is not live. Hence, no real-time traceability exists yet in India. Now, implementation timelines and future outlook. In case of Indian MDR, it is still pending at the database level, where in EU MDR it is UDAMED UDI module live. So, in case of EU MDR, UDI for class 3rd, 2A and 2B is already being implemented, but in case of India, it is only mandatory for class C and D devices. In similarities and differences. Now let's compare both the systems. What are its similarities? Both follow IMDRF principles. Both require UDI-DI and UDI-PI components. Carrier on product labels and packagings are required by both. Use of GS1 for global compatibility. So both aim for traceability and safety. Now let's talk about differences. Differences are in a case of device classes. EU MDR follows all classes like class 1 to 3. But in case of Indian MDR, only for class C and D is mandatory, and for A and B it is yet to be followed. Basic UDI-DI is mandatory in case of EU MDR, but in case of Indian MDR it is not required. The issuance agencies is also like GS1, HIBCC, ICC-BBA in case of EU MDR, and Indian MDR follows GS1 India portal only. For example, like a manufacturer exporting to both India and EU must follow full UDAMED submission with a basic UDI-DI, but can delay CDSU submission for class B products. Now comes the challenges that may face under the UDI system. In case of India, like digital infrastructure is lacking, no live CDSU UDAMED portal or UDI portal yet. Smaller manufacturers face cost and expertise gap in labeling and barcode softwares. Manual barcode handling increases error risk. Lack of UDI trained persons also in many organizations may face difficulties or challenges. In case of EU, UDAMED integration with national registers is complex. Redesigning labels, packaging is costly, especially for small manufacturing units. Strict rules like for direct part marking on reusable devices can be hard to be implemented. So in both the systems, company face issues like software compatibility, label space constraints, and training gaps. Recommendations. To overcome these challenges, here are few actionable suggestions. First is to start up early. Integrate UDI into product development lifecycle. Use globally accepted issuance agencies like GS1 to maintain compliance across regions. Implement barcode software tools, reduces manual errors and ensure regulatory formats. Train QA/RA persons or packaging teams. Understanding label changes is a key. Perform label gap assessment. Verify current packaging against UDI needs for India and EU. Monitor CDSU and UDAMED updates regularly. Changes in UDI requirements can impact compliance's timelines. Manufacturers which are aiming for both markets must proactively build systems that meet both CDSU and UDAMED expectations. Conclusions. To conclude, UDI is a critical regulatory and patient safety tool. The EU MDR has a fully developed UDI ecosystem via UDAMED. India is progressing toward the UDI compliance, with digital infrastructure still evolving. Global manufacturers should adopt harmonized systems like GS1 and maintain robust documentation linking UDI to their technical files, QMS and PMS processes. The future of UDI in its digital integration with the supply chains, patient records and global surveillance platforms. Thank you so much for listening.